This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Into this conversation, if you're just at that place where you're going to bed, depending on where you are in the world, this one you want to be here for. Duke Mainga is the chairman of the Youth Commodity Fund, joins us in the hot seat this morning. Duke, good morning.
Good morning, Duke.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. You're well?
Yes, I'm good.
Fantastic. Tabitha Oluoch is a youth participation champion with Siasa Place and joins us in the hot seat as well. Good morning. How are you doing? Fine, thank you. Say good morning again.
Okay.
There you go.
There you
Okay.
go.
Fantastic. Good to be here. We'll put both of you to work at the beginning of it all. Dennis wants to share today's proverb. We'd love your interpretation of it.
Okay, so today we're in Angola. The capital is Luanda, and not the Luanda that you know in Kenya, somewhere in Busia. But we are in Angola, a country that is rich in oil, gold, diamond, right? And they also have a great number of what we call mbuyu, you know, in the country, and that continues to change how the country looks like. So that is the baobab tree. Also, after the civil war in the country, today as we speak, some areas you go, you don't just walk aimlessly because they still have live landmines that were left there following the civil war, and the country continues to clear that up so that the citizens are safe and secure. But let's go to the proverb. To walk alone is almost not to walk. To sing alone is almost to murmur. Ladies, go first. How would you interpret it? What do you think Angolans are saying today?
Thank you so much for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here speaking today to young people and also for young people today. As per your proverb, I'd like to relate it to like the topic of today, where we are talking about handouts. I believe when you talk about to walk alone is to
walk alone is almost not to walk.
It's almost not to walk, and I believe that's what happened. That's what's happening. These funds are being in silos. Hustler Fund is on the other end. Uwezo Fund is on the other end. Nyota Fund is on the other end. So if these funds are consolidated together, maybe they'd walk along a path than just being a temporary path. That's how I look at it.
Duke.
Thank you. First, thank you again for having me here. It's a pleasure. I would say that there is power in numbers. And you can only go farther if you go with the people, you go with the majority. So never despise a united force. Yes.
Well said. Well put.
Indeed. Never despite a united force, go together, put all these things together in the same basket. Takes us into our conversation for this morning. Empowering the youth beyond handouts. Very simple question from the very beginning. Tabitha, how can that be done? Or actually, let's say, is handing out money to young people actually empowering them?
Not really. First, I think the word empowerment has actually lost its meaning. It was meant to be a tool for liberation. Now we are seeing it as a tool for it's a political buzzword. We see it on top of political rallies, people are landing in with big machines, with helicopters, in a platform that they call youth empowerment. And once the air is vanished or the big cars go away, the youths are just back to where they are. They're back to their day-to-day hand-to-mouth living. They're back to where they were before. So for me, this empowerment and handouts is a temporary solution, or maybe a political campaign tool used by the so-called so-and-so in the different sectors of the whether it's Uwezo, whether it's KOP, whether it's Nyota, all these other names that we have for empowerment. I feel it's a political tool. It's a temporary place where just youths are being put in for 2 months so that we can go into the next thing. I believe we should look at how we can have structures. I know Nyota is talking about empowering young people into being business owners, but we are talking about how youths can start up their business, but we're not talking about how systems around the businesses can be enabled for longevity, for sustainability, for a future beyond just opening a business. Do the youths know about the policies in place for a business? Are they aware of the system, of what KRA requires from them, of what KEBS requires from them, of what these other institutions that create a sustainable business environment? Is the government really creating that environment for these businesses that are supporting the youths to start?
Duke, if you listen to how Tabitha is raising her points, right? One asks the question then, with everything that is happening, with all these funds being put in place, the youth being put together, there is this money here. Are we teaching the youth how to fish, or are we giving them fish? And which way should we go?
Thank you very much, my brother. I would say this. If I give you money with a purpose, then I'm empowering you. If I train you to do business, if I train you to do savings, if I give you skills, then that means I've trained you on how to fish. And after you've been trained, you definitely need resources, to actualize or implement the skills that you have attained. So yes, to me, it's empowerment. And what is happening with Nyota currently, people are thinking that it's just about the money that the young people are being given. That is not really the case. There is the training aspect of young people. They are given skills. They are trained with skills in our technical institutes. And there is that training on how to do the savings. They are being enrolled in a mandatory status into NSSF. So they are trained on how they are going to do the savings. And also there is the aspect of, strengthening the systems. That is now building the capacity for youth employment. You realize many times we get young people saying that they're not getting employment opportunities in this country, but who's to be employed? It's a youth, a young person with skills. And that is what Nyota is actually doing.
Duke, yes. One would ask the question. You've just mentioned in terms of there's training that is there. There is training that is teaching you how to save. Let's go back to Hustler Fund. It was the very first fund that was there. And one of the policies under Hustler Fund was that even when you apply, say, Aseto has applied for 500 bob, I will not get 500 bob. There is a chunk of that will go into savings. Remember, we're talking about how much was a Hustler Fund? 50 billion, right?
Yes.
How much was dispensed? How much went into savings? All this information is not there. It is the reason why today people will look at these funds, and one would say these are political cards being used by the political class, not to help the youth become self-sustaining, but it is a token for them to continue coming back for more. Because one would ask, where is the Hustler Fund today?
For me, I'll say
yes. Today? Yes. Where is even Nyota Fund? Those who've received it, what is the ROI, return on investment, on the same? No one can really give you an explanation on the same.
For me, I'll say the issue here is the mindset, and I'll use a real life example. I have two young people who've been supporting me politically back in the village, and sometime last year, the two of them complained. They were saying that we've been supporting you all this time, and we don't feel like we are getting, return on investment on what we are doing. And I looked at them. They wanted me to get them employment opportunities. But when I looked at them, they didn't have the skills, the required documents in order to be employed. So I said, what am I going to do? Let me try and empower these young people to do business. So I went into my savings and I withdrew 100,000 shillings. I said I'm going to give each of them 50,000 shillings. And I told them, look for an idea, look for a business that you're going to do, and we meet at the end of the year. Last Christmas, I went home. One of those young people came to my village home and they brought me 5 chicken. He said, thank you very much, my brother. You assisted me. I'm now rearing a local kienyeji chicken, and my business is doing very, very well. The second one, I'm told he was moving around the village, complaining and saying, calculating that out of the 50,000 for the 5 years that he has worked with me, or that he has been with me, it's like I've been giving him 27 shillings per day. So he was still complaining. While the other one went ahead and invested his money very well and is now doing very, very well. So my brother, the issue here is mindset. We have always come or faced these issues with a very, very negative mindset. All the time we think that anything government is doing or anything that is coming forth is political. People think about that, but they don't see the real essence. I hear sometimes people say that, is this money enough? How much enough is enough? If I give you 10,000 today, you're not able to use it very well. What is the guarantee that you're going to use 1 million shillings?
Okay, so how do you use? Let's be practical. How do you use 10,000 shillings today? What are you setting up? I'd like to hear from both of them, because these are practical things. Let's not put pie in the sky kind of things here. Even 50,000 shillings. Let's be practical. If you give somebody 50,000 shillings today, they're supposed to set up a business. Well, that's the assumption. that you're giving them money that is essentially going to do something for them to then bring about a return,
Yes.
bring about a profit that will then
Yes.
spur them onto some kind of sustainability and
Yes.
productivity. What can you do with it?
There's a
$50.
very interesting sticker on your lift, on this lift. I don't know whether you've ever read it. And every time when you get into this lift and you're coming to this studio, which says that success is the sum of small efforts repeated from day to day. And it's in your lift. I read it every single day. Let me tell you, my sister, that never despise humble beginnings. Many times, some of us who've been privileged and, you are able to make or you're able to get some 500 or million shillings on a monthly basis. Sometimes we look down upon the 10,000 shillings, not knowing that 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 shillings for somebody in the village, somewhere back in Mashinani in the grassroots, is a lot of money. This is a person who is capable of beginning, even agriculture. You can plant even bananas on the ground, and you believe in the process. You believe in the process and end up becoming the largest estate farmer. So let's not despise humble beginnings. I've seen very many young people who've done mayai businesses. Hii ya kugonga hapa kwa barabara. And I've had to discuss with many of them, and they tell me I make 5,000, 1,000 shillings per day.
Okay.
So let's not encourage, idleness. You can be able to build yourself from those small efforts and end up becoming, successful in life.
Do you see this? So like, let's look at the Nyota Fund, for example, Tabitha, and let's look at what most recently, the 6,000 shillings that we go to 90,000 people, per month. Are these sustainable from where you see them? And they're actually uplifters, economical uplifters for young people.
Okay, just to start from where actually he talked about the whole Nyota program, they are saying that now they are moving to first equipping these young people with skills before they give them money. But I have a question to ask. For people who go to, let's say, tertiary institutions and do business courses, I believe through the learning, they are equipped with skills, right?
We would hope. It would be a waste of time if they were not.
That they always equipped with skills. But why is it that it's so difficult for them to transition these skills into businesses? That's where I come back to what I was talking about. Have we created a business environment that is supportive of these young people when they start these businesses? Because I feel like if you keep on banking on this issue of, yes, we are equipping them with skills, I think we've been doing that for the last 60 years since independence, but you can't see a difference on the same. So that's my whole view about this, the whole skill set issue when it comes to approach of Nyota and all these other funds. Coming back to Nyota and its sustainability, previous funds have been temporary funds, if I quote them, from KOP to Wezo Fund to all these other funds. They have just been given different names, but I think they just serve the same purpose. They're not sustainable in my view because, one, I think they are designed in silos. You can't design something for young people unless, maybe you'll correct me on this, if they are not on the table. If you don't involve them and get to see what's relevant for them, if they are not involved in the designing of the funds, if they are not involved in budgeting when it comes to what goes into the funds, if they are not encouraged and also just being part of the table when it comes to designing of these projects and sustainabilities of these projects and how these projects would look like for young people, them being left out of the table makes it more like a one-sided, makes it like an ally, a politician youth situation more than a collective situation. So its sustainability for me would be more of a co-creation strategy rather than just politicians doing it.
That quote that you said, do not despise small steps, right? And while at that, it is true, not despite small steps, because even saving starts from that single shilling that you put in, and consistency will make that shilling grow. But let's talk about businesses, fine. So you've given me this X amount, right? But it is still the very same government or regime that one would say has destroyed the business working environment. Because today you speak to established businessmen and women in the country, and everyone is complaining that the cost of doing business in the country is tough, that investors would want to come into the country to set up businesses that would employ thousands and thousands of these very young people, but that they find the environment being so hostile that they choose to get out of the country. So one would say, whilst we start from humble steps, from humble beginnings with 10,000 shillings, 50,000 shillings, with 6,000 shillings, it is welcomed, right? But what are we doing to fix the entire architecture, the business environment that would make it easier for me with my 6,000 shillings to invest that into business for sustainability purposes? Because fine, you'll give me 6,000 shillings, but how much in terms of percentages am I spending to register a business, for me to opt to buy product, for me to process the same and take it to market and sell for profit? So whilst we talk about giving someone fish to eat or teaching them how to fish, it has to be a collective. It is not just about giving money, but making it easier for people to get into businesses so that it makes sense. Get what I mean? So are we approaching it from that angle, or we have 50 billion shillings, we'll give it out, but we have not fixed the entire taxation regime that makes it easy for a set or for your friend at the village to make profit?
I'm one of the advocates. I'm one of the people who's been pushing for tax waiver for young people. You know, my brother, remember that government is buying for the people. And I don't subscribe to this kind of thinking that government is perfect. All the time, I feel like government keeps on evolving. Each and every day, you know, there are new ideas, there are new challenges that they must be fixed. Every day we are talking about what the issues that are facing young people. The other year we were talking about, you know, the Gen Z issues. Today now we are seeing new things happening, young people getting involved, young people being given skills, people, you know, being given resources to begin their businesses. So it is true that there are some policies that have been in government or that are still in government that are being created, and that it's proper that some of these issues get to be reviewed and make, you know, the business working environment as favorable as possible as it can be. So I agree with you that there's some punitive policies that you know, need to be done away with or to be reviewed, you know, for instance. And this calls down to just issues of, you know, governance. It's just the issues of governance that requires proper leadership to identify, yes, that there is a gap here that we need to fix and make the working environment easier for young people. So with that, I totally agree with you. Yes.
Okay, so I've heard the argument most recently that people who show up for political rallies, and then the majority of them being in the younger demographic of age, is that as they take these handouts, they'd rather take what they can get at that moment than wait because they would not get something else later. So the length and breadth of the participation in that politics at that time is the handout that they will get, and not necessarily the citizen side governance that we all hope for, whereby that you're involved in a process where you're knowing who's coming in as your MCA, you know who's coming in as your member of parliament, you know who's coming in as your women rep, you know who's coming in as your senator, your governor, your president, you know the in and outs. But that we find people who are attending a rally because, okay, that's great, somebody's going to say something, and at the end of it all, we're going to stand up on the line, we're going to get something. How do we separate ourselves from the needs? Because I used to, but I'm not faulting anybody who goes to a rally today and gets 200 bob and is able to go home and eat that day. I used to be very judgmental, but I'm not anymore, because you understand the situation that a lot of people are in. They take that money, they eat that day, well and good. But how do we cross over to the place whereby we say, this now is where we create the balance and say you can get the 200, 1,000, whatever, but how are you involved in a system that creates a situation whereby you don't need to take that 200, 500?
Yeah, so it brings us back to what you've been saying. I think for the longest, youths have been used like in tokenistic ways. You come here, I organize you, you become like my goons, I pay you 500, but 520. Online, they pay 527. So they pick 527. They go make noise online. But yeah, I think there's need for, as we head into 2027, we should be moving from just voter education to political education.
How?
Because hear me out. Voter education is basically what IBC would go and tell voters, this is how you mark a ballot paper. But you should move to telling these people that these are the functions of your MCA, of your MP, of your senator, and they are different from the functions of a governor. So it creates this mind that when I come and take your 200 bob because I have to get a meal at the end of the day, I'm able to choose that this one, I can't choose this one as my senator because this one keeps on telling me that he'll build me a road. And clearly, a senator does not have the development budget to do the same, or his roles are oversight, or these are the functions of an MP, or this is what goes into like the 6 different elective positions. So there's need for political education. I think all the actors should be involved when it comes to this, from IEBC to government to civil society to religious institutions and even the media, when it comes to creating narratives that go out to these young people, that it encourage them to just not be spectators in this game, but also be involved in the game.
You know, many would look at this very differently. You know, so let's take Hustler Fund, 50 billion shillings, right? And Hustler Fund, 50 billion shillings at a time when there was no budget allocation. It's just a fund that came out with the president, right? But here we have 50 billion Kenya shillings, and one would say that we suffer greatly from unemployment, especially among the young people. But what do we need? It's jobs. If we have 50 billion shillings, if we took that, invested that into manufacturing in the country that is going down, say in the western part of the country where sugarcane farming is huge, but all the factories are on their knees. We invest that into fixing these factories. We go to pan paper. We invest into fixing pan paper. What have we done? We have spurred an economy by encouraging farmers to grow more. These factories will buy from them. We will sell sugar from across the country, and through that, employing thousands and thousands of young people, as well as making it easy for businesses to start, so that at the end of the day, we are fighting poverty by putting in place policies that will make a young entrepreneur fresh from campus who's thinking, I don't want to get employed, I want to get into business. I've made it easier for them. We kick poverty out. But there is the other alternative where many are saying, we'll give them the 6,000, the 20,000 shillings, because not everybody who is unemployed will get it. Is poverty a ticket that is being exploited for politicians to continue being at the space they are, that at the end of the day, it's not thinking on how I'm getting this young person from poverty?
Now, one thing, my brother, hunger does not wait.
I agree.
Okay, so as we are working on establishing and creating or creating those factories in order to create opportunities for young people, the stomach wants to be full. That is why now you're seeing the politics of tokenism carrying the day. Okay, because politicians have to come and fix that mess and make sure that people are eating as we move towards that direction. And it's not that these young people, they are happy when they line up to collect those 100, 200, 300 shillings. Sometimes in a biddy, because you must survive, you must keep on going. So anyway, that said, I love the approach that the government is actually doing, because for the longest time, factories like Mumias and the rest that went down, and they were not be able to, to be managed well by the government. The government thought that it's proper that we go the privatization way, because we have experienced how, the private sector has been able to manage, some of the very, very important government enterprises. So I would say that this issue of tokenism and handouts will continue for some time. That is for sure. It will continue for some time as we move forward and as this country keeps on evolving. Go to the villages. I'm one of those people who normally gets so heartbroken that a member of parliament will come with 1 kg sugar and 1 kg mchele during Christmas and go to a village where there's a student who stayed in that village for almost 2 years by lacking resources to join high school or to join university. You can imagine that kind of scenario, that kind of mockery. But then that said, my appeal to young people out there, more especially the young professionals, the people who've been exposed, the people who've been given opportunities, they're in business and they're in lucrative job opportunities, I think it's proper that they step up, come back to their grassroots and, create advocacy and speak to these young people and try to create ways or, better opportunities in order for them to change their way of thinking. Yes.
Yeah, I think, just to add on, I think as Brian was talking about the 50 billion from the Hustler campaign, it reminds me when 2027 campaigns were going on, and someone was saying,
2022.
Wow, niko mbele already. 2022 campaigns, and someone was saying it's only Wajakoya who was telling us that where we're going to get the money. All these other guys were telling us 50 billion hustler campaign, hustler fund, 6,000 for you monthly, but they are not telling you where they're getting this money. Wajakoya was telling you we are going to sell hemp. We are going to sell snake oils. This is what we are going to do for us to get this money. But everyone was just telling us about the money, but they're not telling us how we are going to get the money. So I believe, as you've said, there's need for advocacy so that we are able to look at the bigger picture of things. Because I think politicians have mastered the art of solving your just now problems, your today problems, your fare back home, but they won't tell you how you're going to now get out of your home tomorrow in the morning. That is none of their business. So there's need for the same as a rallying call for young people to do advocacy, whether it's online, offline, as we head into like 2027.
Do we make the connection when and of course, the two things can be true in the same statement, but do you think we make do young people make the connection, or anybody really who receives the handouts, connection between this handout, because it plays on your mind, and anybody, I'm yet to be convinced that it doesn't. That as you're getting this handout, the person who is giving it to you is also expectant. They're expectant that in a position where you will be in a position to make a decision about them, the vote. Because look, at the very least in this room, we can be honest.
Yes.
The politicians are not going out giving out handouts because they like you or because you look like their cousin Bertha. It's not the case.
Who are you?
They're giving you this money because there is an expectation that you will activate that later. That you will either go and tell other people, CEO, this man, wonderful, he gave us money, this, that. Should we not vote for him because he's very nice? He has solved our problem, you understand? So when an election comes about, they are expecting that thing they did once or repetitively, they will now cash it in for a vote for them. Isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. The people who are receiving this money at the rally, at the whatever, do they make the connection between this money that we have received, this vote that I am going to cast, and the future of the country in which I'm going to exist in? Is there a connection?
Unfortunately, as I said, I'll go back to what I said, that you can never postpone hunger. Unfortunately, that's the main challenge. So most of these young people are thinking about today. They want to see, how am I going to survive for today? That is the reason why, I serve in the agriculture sector, and we have resources that are meant to support young people to engage themselves in agricultural activities. But when I got into that opportunity, I stayed for 1 and 2 years, and I realized young people are not coming for these resources. What did I do? I decided to change the strategy, and I said probably these young people don't want to engage themselves in the process of production because it may not appear fancy. And I said, now then let's do what we call trade financing. You don't necessarily need to be a farmer. You can trade with agricultural commodities. And I started seeing young people streaming in to come and apply for these resources. So maybe we need to understand how do young people think currently. We might be imagining that the young Kenyans are thinking like our fathers and grandfathers. They have a different way of doing the thing. These are young people who want to go on TikTok live and sell their products there. They don't want to move around carrying sacks of maize in the streets. So we need to understand that times have changed. Get to understand how are these young people, how are they thinking? Look at this very bad, very, very sad scenario where a politician comes into your village. He gives your mom sugar, he meets your dad, gives him some 200 shillings, and then gives you 200 shillings. Meaning that he has managed your entire home. You are learned, you're exposed, but when you go back home, your dad is speaking the language of this politician, your mom is speaking the language of this politician, and you are left, even if you go against this, your dad and mom, still they are 2 against 1. So this still goes down to our mindset. The issue is the mindset we have towards leadership. We must decide and make a change today and say we must change for the better of ourselves and for the future. And we must take those tough decisions. Yes.
Tabitha, do you make that connection? Handouts. vote, and the future?
Yes and no. I believe it's a work in progress. I believe we've evolved as a people, as a nation, when it comes to how we connect the handouts to what is needed to translate. Because I feel like the voter right now, or I think the voter right now is able to know that I can take your money, but I don't have to give you my vote. Mm-hmm. At least on a scale of 1 to 10, I think it's improved over time. Mm-hmm. Let's say if we give it in 2007 or maybe 12 or 13, they were quite connected. If you compare to the mindset of the person today, at least maybe they've improved over time. So not with a big percentage, but
I just want to interject, and then then you can come back. Just as an example, there were by-elections in October. Not even money. There were by-elections in October, and to the west of us, yes, lollipops, lollipop,
sweet.
were given to people. And the result of that election was in favor of the person that was supported by the lollipop givers.
yeah.
Not even money, lollipops. So that exchange for a vote is very real.
Yeah.
So have people actually walked, in this case, not even money, something in that moment that makes you feel good for a few minutes, and it does telling you, it does something to your head.
Yeah.
That feel-good factor, and that's why I'm telling you, politicians are master crafters, because it is very clear that the psychology to some level has been understood, that if I make somebody feel good in the moment, the likelihood of them remembering me or remembering what I supposedly stand for is higher, because I've activated that feel-good effect. So is it a mindset thing whereby that psychological thing needs to be broken for you to understand, you know what, you're going to go back to your problems when you go, after the sweet has finished, you throw the stick away. Those problems are waiting for you.
Yeah, so this is how I think I'd look at it. I agree that lollipop was used to sway away, but I think there were so many factors that, let's say, made the person to win, from the political party of the day to the people who were actually on the ground campaigning for it. So yes, it's a mindset thing, because with political parties, I think politicians have mastered the craft of I think connecting emotions with people's emotions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, their psychology of connecting to emotions. It's not about, at times, I'll give this example again, just disconnecting it, let's say, from the money a little bit. It's rumored, some part of, before the death of the former prime minister, people used to say that he was not a good giver of money to campaign, but how did he have like a solid 6 million constituent? It was more of like emotions that come with like political party and just appealing to people on their emotional sect. So that's why I'm saying we are not yet there. Maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it a 2 or a 3, but we are evolving as a people.
Now, Bran, let me say this.
Dennis.
Oh, Dennis, sorry, Dennis, I'm sorry. Now, Dennis, let me say this. I ran for Member of Parliament in 2017. At that time, I was 24 years old. So I approached some elders in the village to tell them about my vision. And I met with them. I had a very, very good manifesto. So I met these 3 gentlemen, and they asked me the following questions. Do you have a home? I told them I'm in the process of constructing my home. They asked me, do you have a car? I asked them which type of car. I have a Toyota Premium. They said, no, you don't have a big car. All right? And then they asked me, are you married? I told them, yeah, I have a girlfriend. I'm getting married next.
Very soon.
Very, very soon I'm getting married. That communicated, as I grew up, that communicated to me that majority of the leaders we have in office today, they're not necessarily the best leaders, but because of affluence, because they came and they showed that mighty. The mindset of our people on the ground is that in order to be a leader in this country, you must be extremely rich. You must drive the best, the latest model of car. You must have, one of the fanciest homes around. That is why during campaign times, you normally see politicians pulling up with serious machines, SUVs on the ground, to just communicate and create that perception. Yes, create that perception to the people. Majority of these people go there, wash people. There are people who've stolen money in Nairobi, gotten money through dubious means, and they go back to the village and they play with the mindset of the people, and they end up getting elected. They come to parliament, they are clueless. They have no ideas. They cannot create a policy to favor the poor back on the ground. So this is my appeal to the people, to my people, that as we grow up, as we keep on evolving, kindly, let's focus more on issues. Let's focus more on people, who have created, a good name or reputation within the society. Otherwise, the people are the ones to blame.
Duke, we also live in the same country where we know an individual who comes from Mount Kenya who actually campaigned using a donkey, using a bicycle in the entire constituency and managed to win. But one would ask the question...
That's miracle. We normally count them as miracles. Yes.
But then again, we look at an electorate who... Hunger is a bad thing. The stomach does not wait, right? We have politicians who've mastered psychology of a voter and taken advantage of that hunger to continue oppressing the Mwananchi, whichever I call them oppressors. I'm sorry, kill me if you want. But here's the thing: does the Mwananchi pause and think of, I want Duke to be my member of parliament because he has said he will do ABCD, right? And that is usually what happens. You're voted in because of your promises. But once people get to these offices, they forget that which they stood for. You know what I mean? Which then asks the question, how can Mwananchi be part of the process, including calling out an MP over promises they have not delivered? I don't know if I'm making sense. Because you'll come and give us a good manifesto and we did not go back to look at what are your roles, oversight, all those three things. How then does Mwananchi play the role and ensure that those in leadership understand that Mwananchi has power over them and they can even be recalled, knowing very well that even those policies have not been passed by the very same member of parliament? So how do we make sure people work? Tabitha?
I think it goes back to what happened in June 2024. For people to get out there, we have to do civic education in the simplest ways possible, connecting these big jargons to real Mwananchi issues, because politicians have mastered it. Mwananchi does not want to hear VAT 14%. What is that? What does that mean actually?
How does that translate to
Yes. So you have to go and tell them this will affect the price of bread and will affect the price of day-to-day commodities for them to be able to connect with the same. So civic education in the simplest way possible is going to help us as we move forward. And I like the president that has been set over time by impeaching the former deputy president. I think it's now a precedent that we've created moving forward, that we know we can also impeach an MP, which I know it's quite a tedious process. Unfortunately, because I know they are the lawmakers, they can't create laws that are no favor them at the end of the day. So for the people who are, I think, the face of who have influence, like people sitting here from the media to you guys in government, I know you guys in government can't do that, Sana, because it will come back to you and bite you. But the people who have good following and who have the best interests, I'd call them digital advocates. Let's simplify this information to Mwananchi in the simplest way possible, for them to know that Senator kazi yake ni oversight. I was seeing a poster recently, I don't want to mention that specific county, but they were saying these are the milestones the senator has been able to achieve. He's built affordable housing. He's done. I'm like, oh my Lord. So Senate squeezing up on a pesa hivi. So there's need for the people who are at the forefront to simplify this information for us to be able to get a Mwananchi that connects the handout to the ballot paper.
Tabitha, let me correct something. Not everyone who is in government is a bad person. Not everyone in government is a bad person. If you're a good person, you're a good person. If you're a bad person, whether in opposition or in government, you're a bad person. But let me go back to what you said. The other day, I met a certain member of parliament who was withdrawn completely from the ground. And I wanted to know how he's doing and where he has left his people. The people are complaining on the ground. And the gentleman told me that he's tired with the people. I asked him, why are you saying you're tired with the people and these are the people who elected you? He said, I spent my money I spent lots of money to get this position. I bought this power. So nobody has authority to ask me what I'm doing or what I'm not doing. I will still come back, use those resources, and buy power. He said, Mwananchi is greedy. Okay? There's no way Mwananchi can pretend. He comes to me, I pay him 20, 30,000 to get to this position. I pay him to be my mobilizer on the ground. And then immediately after I get this position, he wants me to do him or her things, to get him jobs and these other opportunities. This person should choose one. Either I buy you, okay, get into power, or I serve you. So I still go back and say, much as we blame these leaders, you know, many of them come from the ground. These are not people who fell from heaven. They are not angels. They went to the ground. They have grown with the people on the ground. They have understood that the people I'm growing with on the ground sometimes don't care about all the things I'm telling them. They want me to give them money, give them tokens in order to get into power. Yes.
Am I blaming that member of parliament? No.
You can't. How will you blame him?
I'm not.
You cannot
because
blame
at the
him.
end of the day,
Yes.
it is the Mwananchi who sold their vote.
Correct.
If I'm going to give you 20,000 shillings,
Yes.
I will give you 20,000 shillings. But never, ever come to me again demanding anything because our transaction has ended
Exactly.
when I gave you the 20,000 shillings.
Correct.
And perhaps, Ndu, this is what we need to communicate to Mwananchi, that when you allow yourself to take that token as a bribe to sell your vote, to sell your ID, simply because you want to fill your stomach at that day and not think about the future, perhaps your contract with your member of parliament has ended at that point.
Correct.
You have no right to ever ask me for anything.
Correct. And you know, these politicians are human beings. Okay? Each and every day, every politician has a black book like mine here. All right? So I've written tough people. There are those tough-headed people that I know I must spend money in order to get them. Because at the end of the day, what do you want? You have to win. So you'll go and get your 100,000, 200,000, and you pay this money to relax this man, to make him relax. Immediately you get that position. This person comes to you and tells you, I need this job opportunity and the like, and you gave him 200,000.
But I paid you.
I paid you. It was a transaction. So we must change this thing from being transactional, okay, to transformational kind of leadership. That's the only way we are going to change our country. Yeah.
Is there a chicken and egg situation here? And because what started first? Because, you know, I thought even as we were speaking and we say, okay, well, a leader is required in this country to have a big vehicle and live in a, you know, in a specific place. And then I cast my mind to some of the leaders in what we're calling progressive jurisdictions who take the tube, take the train, ride a bicycle to the office. And it's normal. And that's because that system has been normalized. So which came first, or which should come first? Normalize a system where people, PLO Lumumba is making a suggestion that the business of governance should actually be part-time. Come, do your thing for a few hours every day, and then go and do other things. Come back and continue. Because this thing of having to be in this space all the time then starts to breed the mindset whereby, okay, I need a little bit more to then be able to survive. Governance, citizenship-led leadership is not a wealthy man's paradise. It shouldn't be. But we've twisted it around. So I'm wondering which came first? That you get into government to make some money without us realizing that if the system was working well, we would not see disparities. We would not see far-ended issues, wealth, poverty. We would not see hunger, lack on the other side of satisfaction. We wouldn't see. So which came first? And how did we get to this place? Because if I think about old Africa, people didn't want to get money from their leaders because we had a leadership system.
Oh, really? No.
And
No.
before the colonizers came, we had
the
a leadership system. We had governance that has been studied by people and has been the tenets that have created governance systems in the world today. We did. Did we look at leaders in those days for money, for handouts? No. We looked towards people for leadership and not for money. When did that change? And that's what I'm asking. Chicken egg situation. When did the script flip?
This culture was mainly created by our forefathers and the people who founded this country one of them being the former president Moi. Moi was known that any particular time he visited any village, people could gather and they would give them money, including students.
He was he being generous?
Primary.
I have to ask the question.
Yes,
was he being
there is the
generous?
issue of
Because he was already president.
Correct.
And he was going to be president for the longest
Correct.
time.
Correct.
And one would argue that the system around it really, whether you voted or not, he was going to continue. So at that point, when you talk about Maziwa Wanyayo and all these other things, was he being generous?
Now, sometimes our people take advantage of generosity. You know, there are people who are naturally generous. There are people who like giving. And they don't give to, attain or get anything in return. But now look at a situation whereby you are generous, you are more endowed, you have more resources, and you are giving. And there's another person who comes who has very good ideas, but he or she doesn't have that money. At the end of the day, even if this other person, the one who is giving and he has more resources, does not have any ideas, people will tend to go with the person who is giving.
Yeah.
Yeah, many times, that's it's natural that it happens that way. I was surprised the other day. There's a young girl from a village who was stuck at home. She lacked school fees, and we decided to raise this issue on our group of professionals from my region. And I was surprised that there was I'm saying that group who used to be in YK92. I know you, the famous YK92. The way he reasoned in that group, he said, don't bring such issues here. You are shaming us. You are shaming the government. And these are the things. I will tell you the only way we are going to change these things. And I'm going back to Tabitha. Our people need to understand that times have changed. We have very young people, very good young people, who want to make things happen at that particular moment. They don't want to postpone. They don't want to wait. So until we clear this old kind of thinking, where we have people who know that with money they can get anything in life. There are people who are brought up that way and they still operate that way, not knowing that times have changed. People are more informed. People are young people more particularly. Forget about these other older people. Majority of these young people, they want to see real issues being tackled and lives being changed. That's why you keep on seeing people fighting. This age difference, people keep on fighting each other every day. It's because people are not understanding that things have totally changed. But be rest assured that this is a disease that we must continue to treat and ensure that we see a change at the end of the day. And I love the noise. Yesterday when I heard the president saying that now let all those young people who've been admitted to their schools go back to school, even with their primary school uniforms. It was after the noise. Young people went online making a lot of noise. Where is the CS? Where is this happening? And somehow the president knows how to collect and get this information. And we are seeing
without realizing the absolute mess that's now going to be caused in schools, because on the other side, you can say that if you have gone ahead to ensure that your treasury has sent the capitation to these schools that's necessary.
Money was sent.
Excuse me.
Yeah, money was sent. Last week? Yes. Money was sent. 20 billion. Money was sent to schools.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you know that last year you had a balance of 7,000 shillings to send to schools?
That one I know.
You know.
Yes.
Was all the money that's needed for capitation for the first term sent? It's a yes or no? All the money needed for first term for capitation, was it sent?
Yes. For first term it was.
All
the money was sent.
The whole amount of money to the tune of 7,442 shillings per student, was it sent?
Now that's
it wasn't. The answer is no. Duke, the answer is no. We know very well that the entire amount. Come on. There's no going around. We've overshot this issue. In fact, I had wished that you would not have brought it up.
I'm the one who brought it up.
It'll take us down a rabbit hole.
I know.
Because the truth of the matter here, it's a yes or no. There's no explaining round. I need 10 shillings to buy this packet.
Yes.
If I don't have 10 shillings, I cannot buy this packet in its entirety. We shouldn't try to romanticize this conversation. Capitation has been set. It is an amount of money that is needed. In fact, it's not even the people. It is you who said this is the amount of capitation we will send. Then people plan around it. Then you decide out of 10 shillings, let me give you 6.
Correct.
It's very clear that the total amount that was needed for first term was not sent in its entirety. So
is okay.
So
Whether now
it's not okay.
Yeah,
and
let me
that's
say
the
this.
problem.
Let me say
because
this.
our time
I'm
has
the one-
short.
I'm the one who brought the topic,
point is,
and I wanted to.
The point is
yes.
here. So when you have not done the back end,
Yes.
and then in the public, you then children are crying they want to go to school, which is valid. So when you've not done the work in the back end, and then you publicly say, children, go back to school without having done the back end work. Wait, Monday is coming. You tell me what the conversations will be out there where principals are saying, "Why? How are we going to capitation? Has not come in its entirety. We still owed from last term. What are we supposed to do?" That's my point. That's my point.
Okay, now
You have 30 seconds.
I have 30 seconds to say this. And I like using my story. I got admitted to Kisii High School back in 2007 in Form 1. And I went to school with my former primary school uniform. And I remember my dad took me there. And he left me with his former classmate who was a teacher there. And he went back home and he said, he's going to sort you out. Unfortunately, that teacher, because he was doing a lot of, admissions, he forgot me. And I stayed at the gate waiting, for him. It was getting late, around 5-6 p.m. The watchman was like, "What's up? What's wrong with you? Why have you not been admitted? What are you doing here?" And I said, the man was supposed to assist me. I don't know him. I don't know where he has gone to. My dad left me here. He said, "Okay, no problem. Let me take you to the deputy principal." He took me to the deputy principal. The deputy said, "Too late. We can't get you uniforms. You will come back tomorrow and see if we can fix your issue." I remember that was the worst moment of my life because I had to go to my dormitory with my former high school, a blue uniform. A blue uniform. Yeah, let me finish very fast. A blue uniform. And I survived for almost 1 week until when I was given my high school uniform. But I will tell you one thing. I had no issues. I was happy that I had gone to my dream school. That is why I'm supporting whatever the president is.
You know what you're supporting? You're
Yes.
supporting the ideology of at leastism, which unfortunately will be the destructive force here.
No,
yes.
sometimes-
because the truth of the
sometimes
matter,
you may not
have
understand.
departments, you have ministries
Yes.
that you have given to under the leadership of cabinet secretaries
Yes.
who've been dilly-dallying around this thing for the last 3 weeks. It took the president to come out and say, "Okay, guys, you know what? They don't have money for uniform.
Correct.
Let them
Just
go with
go."
the old uniform." So what are we talking about? The cyclical effect of government that is not functioning optimally.
I agree.
So when you say that, well, at least I'm in the room.
I agree.
No. And
I
that's
agree.
what makes us, and in fact, Lisa Mira is going to kill me now
Yeah.
because I've gone past 9 a.m.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. That
Yeah.
when we are saying, well, at least I have this,
Yes.
what, it keeps us deeper and deeper in a hole that we're not going to be able to get out of.
I agree.
We shouldn't be at least.
and I
We should be
think
optimum.
Yes.
Even as we talk about going into school with a different uniform, that right there indicate and signals inequality that does exist in our education system
Correct.
today.
Today. And this is the thing.
Now, but we must fix it.
Yes.
It must be fixed.
It must be fixed.
I'm not
Yes,
going to give you
issues
another
must be
now.
raised and they must be fixed.
I think
Yeah.
for me, just to finish up on what you're saying, that some of this tokenism started from President Moi.
Mm.
And you'll agree that in the regimes where we've had people ascend to power through generosity, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
governments have failed. Our economies have been on their knees during such governments because we appoint politicians to be in these cabinet positions. This is why we're talking about it takes the president to come and deal on education matters. Where is the CS for education? There are children in a school called Kichawir in Kericho who are studying under a tree in 2026. A school in Bungoma where they don't have even a headmaster. So how is that primary school operating with these capitations that you've sent? You're saying no to who? To a school that doesn't have a headmaster. Who is going to be in charge? Who is going to be accountable for this?
Leadership. You'll ask yourself a question: where is Ndidi Nyoro doing wonderful work at Kiharu?
Exactly.
And there's a constituency in Mandera where students are studying under a tree.
Yeah.
Leadership.
Yeah, and then argue that
Fix
Nyoro
the
was the
leadership
budget
issues.
chair, and you'll ask,
Okay.
Atandi is the current budget
Yes.
chair. What are we seeing in Alego?
Correct.
Nothing.
Indeed.
So leadership.
Okay.
Duke, Tabitha, thank you so much for being here
Thank
this
you.
morning. Lisa Mira will eat us alive because we've gone past the hour, but these are the conversations that we must have. And thank you for being here with us to be able to do that. Good morning at 5 minutes past 9.
The